Hey everybody, it's me, Albatross. Welcome back to part 3. And as much as the NCMEC gets on my nerves, I'm not the hugest fan of theirs. But in this case, I can't help but to defend them a little bit because there's been a little bit of misinformation in the mainstream media. Again, big shock. And a lot of it's coming from our LGBTQ friends. And I wanted to clear some things up because they know what they're doing, because I read all the articles carefully. And even though their titles are very misleading, they know that the NCMEC. Gosh, that's a long abbreviation. That's kind of annoying. I'm just gonna call them the NCM for short because that's a mouthful. But anywho's, in this video, believe it or not, I can't believe I'm actually defending them for once, because my biggest complaint with them, and listen, I don't really know them well enough. Like, I'm not saying that they're involved. That's not what I'm saying. The thing that bothers me personally is that they're the ones who do the Amber Alerts. I mean, enough said. When was the last time you all got an Amber Alert? So that's my biggest complaint with them. But in this video, I wanted to talk about some of the stuff that the media has been saying, because there's been a lot of misinformation spread. And it's ridiculous. It's time for y'all to stop. Okay? It's time. You're not good. Stop. Okay? Just accept it. You're just going to have to accept it. We want to know what's going on with our tax money. And honestly, if you really think about this whole situation that they're complaining about so much, if you really think about it, it kind of impedes the children's safety a little bit without putting their original sex at birth. You know what I'm saying? I mean, unless they're saying that the children actually had a sex change. And if that's the case, then that parent needs to be looked at. I'm sorry. I mean, like, and I'm a supporter of the LGBTQ community. I am. But, like, there's a line, like, with children, because children are still growing. They're still developing. And when you start, like, doing things like letting them do things like that, like hormone therapy and things like that, that's abuse, whether they are consenting or not. You know what I'm saying? That's abuse. Like, yeah, when you're an adult, do whatever you want. As long as you're not hurting nobody else, do whatever the hell you want. Be whoever you want. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. I always thought trans people are beautiful, you know? Adults. I'm not even talking about clothes. That's not what I mean, guys. That's not what I mean. I'm talking about the hormones, the things like that. Like, people were actually given that. I didn't know this until recently. See, I've been out here defending y'all. But then I find something like that out. It's like, what? Yeah, that's something I can't abide by. I mean, personally, in my opinion. But I'm just going to assume that the kids on these websites, that on the NCM's website, I'm just going to assume that they had not actually had a physical sex change. That it's just, what they want to be called. That's what I'm going to assume. But you see, the problem with that is if they're missing and you want people to find them. Like, if they're missing and they're in the hands of traffickers, that trafficker don't give a fuck what they want to be called. if that is their actual physical sex. I mean, you know what I mean? You think those traffickers give a shit? What? You, so like, that doesn't even make any sense that they're putting the preferred sex on the website. I would assume they would put the birth sex because they're missing and a stranger finds that kid and they're dressed up like their birth sex, because why the fuck would their trafficker give a crap what gender they say they were, if they were, you know what I mean? I'm sorry for the language, but it's just something that really had me fired up. But you know what? No, I'm not sorry. You don't want to listen to it? Go to another channel. But yeah, that's wild to me. Like I said, I'm a huge supporter of the trans community. I'm a huge supporter of them. But, like, when you're grown, kind of like with a tattoo or having sex with a grown-up, or like, you know what I mean? Like, we need to stop with this. Like, normalizing children doing adult things. We need to stop this. This is part of the people like that. That's part of the problem. You're normalizing looking at children like adults. So stop, please. But anywho, I'm going to get off my soapbox and get into this. Get into some of these articles. But as you can see, a lot of the mainstream media is outright claiming that the NCM completely scrubbed the missing trans kids. And when I first saw that, I was peeved. Like, it's like, oh, they better not have. A missing child's a missing child. But then when I actually read the article, it's like, I see what they're doing. That's why it's important to not just go by the headlines. You gotta kind of like read, because, yeah, that's not what it is. That's not what happened. But we'll look into it. We're gonna look into it a little bit further here. Okay. Now, I haven't looked at Rain stuff. That they're kind of worth their own video, so I'm just gonna stick to talking about the NCM. Okay, similar removals have also occurred on the web pages for the NCM, a group that opposes youth sex trafficking, and the national NCVRC. The removals have gained criticism from advocates who say it endangers trans people who are at higher risk for sexual violence. And let's be clear, we'll read it, we'll see in a minute, but they've never actually removed any children from the website, okay? They moved reference articles from the website. They're trying to make it sound like that they moved children but they didn't. It's so many of them. Like, this is the first one. This girl is the first one who broke the story right here. Because apparently she talked to an insider, a staff insider, about it. And you see, and what gets on my nerves is that all these media outlets, they don't typically report on missing kids that I've seen, because I check it for it often, and it's weird. It's like now, and like, nor do they talk about missing trans kids, but it's weird. Now they're talking about it. Now that it has to do, now that someone's like actually trying to like, you know what? I digress. Because, and I'm a little ticked about Fox News too. Because they could make this very simple. Because a lot of people are watching them now. They could make this a lot more simple for all the people getting mad and ticked off. It's like why don't they talk about the missing kids? Like, seriously, anytime that they're in arguments with people, why aren't they talking about it? Why is everyone so goddamn afraid to talk about it? Like, seriously, it's an important question. Everyone feels so goddamn self-righteous about everything. And I love you trans people. Don't get me wrong. But listen, you're one group out of many that gets oppressed. Out of many. So stop. Like don't put the missing kids into this. Seriously, don't. Don't go there. Not unless you're talking about you're not they didn't even take any down. Why don't you show some pictures of some missing kids? But yeah, what they were told to do was to put them on there by their birth name. And like when they were asking all these questions about it, well, why don't we just add a paragraph where and they're like, no, we can't do that. And then, no, do what you're told. I mean, honestly, it'd probably make it easier to find the kids. My opinion. I mean, I could be wrong, but in my opinion. Because like I said, why would a sex trafficker give a crap what that kid wanted to... Like, you kidding me? Unless they actually had a sex change, which is a whole other conversation. Like I said, that's a whole other conversation that I'd rather not even talk about. But yeah, so... And staffers shared 2 points from the meeting that they feel illustrate the leadership's willingness to comply with the Department of Justice demands and unwillingness to zealously defend the most vulnerable. Oh my gosh. They moved a couple reference articles. Okay. The first was how they could avoid providing male or female as the only options for people submitting missing children reports online. What if the staffer said they provided a text box where the person filing the report could input whichever gender they felt was appropriate? And then their director responded by saying, no, that would be too complicated. No, the better answer would be, it would be breaking the rules. Like, you're not... I mean, like I said, wouldn't it be easier to find... I'm going to get off that because I know I sound like a broken record. But seriously, if you really think about it, they would be easier to find if you just put their birth sex. But anywho, I digress. And then another staffer, they had to add this in there. What if, hypothetically, an executive order was issued that targeted LGBTQ community employees? But there hasn't been. Why are we talking about things that have not happened? If you're a staff there, why don't you ask, well, why don't you take it upon yourself? If they really did take it down and you work there, why don't you take it upon yourself, put it on your own social media? Which they didn't. Like you'll see, they didn't take it down. But anyhow. And okay. And look, it says right here. Their director told them, NBC News, that our ability to locate and recover missing children and to protect victims of child sexual exploitation remains unchanged and will remain unchanged. So they're saying that they're going to... Anywho. Mentions of trans kids scrubbed from the National Child Safety Clearinghouse website. But yeah, like I said, I think this is the one where it says it. I'm trying to find the one where it actually says specifically what they took down. Hold on. Let's see. Is this it? It says that they... Okay, here it goes. Yeah. So these are the three, and it was 3 reports that they took down. 3 reports. Okay. One was a report on missing children with suicidal tendencies. And I guess, somewhere in that reference one mentioned that. And the other one was a report on male victims of child sex trafficking. And another one was an overall status of children missing from care. I'm not really sure what that one means. From whose care? What care? Aren't all children missing from care? That's a little vague. Not sure why they took that down. It's a bit odd. Anywho, but yeah, their titles don't say anything about it, but maybe something in those articles said something about, I don't know. I am not sure. But I want you to see on this page, I want you to see on this part, right here at the bottom, this is what kind of like ticked me off about this article in particular. Where is it? Oh yeah, this right here. And another executive order that restricts, that restricts gender affirming care for trans youth. Like, what? Like, I don't know what they mean by gender affirming care, but like I said, in my opinion, if it's a child, it's child abuse. Their body is still growing. And by, I'm assuming what gender affirming care means would be like hormones. Hopefully not a surgery. I'm assuming hormones. But yeah, why the hell would you give that to a kid whose body is growing? I mean, yeah, when you're an adult, you should be able to do whatever you want. Of course. And I'm not saying I agree with every single thing Trump's doing, but what I will say is I am glad that Elon Musk is doing what he's doing. I am. I'm glad. Why would I sit here and not want them to find out what they're doing with my tax money? I mean, seriously. I would like to say, though, before I go, one thing that struck me as odd. I've watched the news more lately than I have in a while because there's a lot going on. But there's something that struck me as odd. When Trump was talking on the news, did he say that Zelensky started the war, or am I tripping? I thought I was tripping at first. I did. But then I heard him say it, and then I thought, well, maybe he just, like, made a mistake. But then I heard him say it again. That was weird. Oh. But all of us who watched it in real time when that event took place know, at least we were told, that it was Russia. Right? So either Trump's just blatantly ignoring history, or there's something we don't know, that they weren't completely honest about what happened. And I don't know which it is. I wasn't there. I mean, I gotta go by what they give me, just like everybody else. But it's just odd, right? And he didn't correct it, and he doubled down on it. That was odd, I have to say. That was odd. But anywho, yeah. About all this. They didn't take the kids off the website. They just took some reference articles. I'm not saying that's right, wrong, or otherwise. I'm just saying stop being misleading. We're all sick of it. We all see it. Stop. It's not going to work anymore. But anyways, gotta go. I'll be back in the next video. And this is the next one's going to be draining. It's going to be about Texas and Arizona CPS. And oh my God. They might qualify. They'll make, I'm serious, they will make Riverside look like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I'm serious. That they are messed up. It is a mess. And it didn't, because I was gonna go to. talk about all the CPSs state by state. I thought about going in alphabetical order. Then I saw all the reports on Texas and Arizona. I thought, I'm going to start with them. They have got some problems. So I'm going to start with the worst states with CPS and work my way down. So yeah. Anyways, I'm going to go. Have a good night. Thanks for listening.